Check, check, check.
Check in the mic.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Great. How are you, Richard?
I'm feeling good because I'm listening to some music that I wrote. YouTube. Check it out, bro. Yeah. It feels like I want to sell you some batteries. That's what it's like, right? Take that, YouTube. Oh, wait. I got that in case you want to rip, go off. Nice. Chris Simpson. How are you, brother?
I'm good.
I'm happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be had.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming here and watching this. We're going to go ahead and have this program focused around just being two cool-ass dudes here in Austin, Texas. That's what we do. I'm a musician. He's a musician. He Chris Simpson plays in Mountain Time as well as Mineral. He's a guitar player as far as I know. I've seen him play guitar once. I saw him hold it anyways.
I do play the guitar.
But there was too many people there and I'm the shortest person. I couldn't see you totally. Isn't that a bitch, dude?
Oh.
It sucks being short. Anyways, I was at the Mineral reunion show, the first one that was on the inside of the Mohawk.
Yeah, that's a tough room for short people.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't see a fucking thing.
That's a tough room for anyone, but like the 10 people in front of the stage.
How did that? Were you nervous before that gig?
Oh God, yeah. It's yeah. I was super nervous, and I don't know if you noticed, but I had a sweater on, and it was like September. So I mean, it was cool-ish out, but I remember getting on stage and starting, and at some point in the first few songs thinking, yeah, I probably should have taken the sweater off before doing this.
You're sweating your ass
but
off.
I kept thinking like, well, I'll just take it off at some point between songs. But I think I was so nervous and just so focused that I ended up wearing it the whole set. And I had drank a bunch of water, and I really hadn't drank. I had maybe like a beer and a half before going on. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, the show was over. I was like, celebrating. But I felt super weird. And then some buddies of mine were smoking some weed, and I smoked a little bit. And like I used to smoke a lot of weed, so it wasn't like I smoked too much weed.
Right.
It's just like had a little hit. And then I just went downstairs and started talking to people, and I felt super weird. And all of a sudden, like everything went black, and I like collapsed.
Really?
Yeah, totally black. Like fainted, and came to, and all my buddies were like around me, and they're like, "Chris, what's going on? What happened?" And I could hear everything fine, and I was totally coherent. I could talk, but I could not like fire my muscles. I could not move or get up. So eventually they were like, I feel like we have to call an ambulance. I'm like, I guess go for it, So I rode in an ambulance to the hospital, and ended up getting like several bags of IV fluids before I felt normal again. And after
dehydrated?
Yeah, after they ran tests, they showed that like my potassium level was down at like 4 or something, and like he was like, the doctor was like, yeah, I bet you totally felt like you couldn't fire your muscles because you couldn't, so I don't know what happened there, but I think a lot of it was anxiety too, just about like being back and playing that show, and knowing we had this whole tour booked that was happening right after that.
Man, I know that like when I first moved to Austin, there was a lot of people that are like, tell me about Mineral, and people from San Jose, where I'm from, they were just like, did you meet any Mineral guys yet? And I don't know. I mean, at that point, I had known about y'all, but I could imagine like crescendoing to that moment, and then you're just like on stage, and it's kind of warm and muggy in there. Yeah, man, that's a lot of stress, actually.
Yeah.
That is a lot of stress, because then you were looking at what, like a month tour after that, or something like that.
In fact, in the ER, the doctor was like, curious about the band and like pulled it up online, and he brought his little laptop in, and he had our like tour schedule on the front page of our website, and he's like, I just checked that you guys out here and you are busy for the next couple months. He's like, and I'm here to remind you that you are not 22 anymore, you know, like you gotta take care of yourself. So yeah, it's weird. Like I had drank a bunch of water and like, I don't know, I feel like
That was all nerves, brother.
it was all nerves, like, but I guess like the whole no potassium, like I didn't have enough electrolytes or whatever. I don't know. It was a learning experience for sure.
You know, that's interesting you say that, because there was this, there's like this ultra marathon runner guy named, or endurance dude. His name is David Goggins. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's really fucking awesome. He's such a cool, motivational dude. You know, his mindset, he's amazing. But anyways, in his book, he talked about potassium. But he talked about it like in passing. It's like, so I'm getting ready for this race, and that's got to make sure I got the water, got my carbs, got my potassium, and he'd always like throw it in there.
Yeah. I think it's more important than we realize.
No, absolutely, especially in our old age. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm getting old. I don't know how old are you then?
45.
I'm 45. What's
shit.
your birthday?
September 16th.
That doesn't work for me.
Okay. Sorry.
July 28th.
I mean,
okay.
No,
wait, which day? September 25th?
16th.
16th.
Yeah.
My son's September 26th.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But it's 2014.
I got a bunch of Virgos in the house. My youngest son is September 1st. My wife is September 6th.
Wow.
So we got a lot of.
How many children do you have?
4.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
How old is what's the oldest?
Okay, so I have twins, fraternal twins, Casper and Colette, who are 8. And then I have another boy named Ezra, who is 6.
Yeah.
And a relatively new guy named Zuri, who is 2. A little over 2. He was 2 in September 1st.
Dude, I want another kid just so I can have that little dude again, or a little girl again. And when my son was born, it was, I was like, I remember his mother, who's kind of not in the picture at all, unfortunately, but his mother, her parents, my parents, like some of my aunts were just like, we need to know the sex of the baby. We don't know what to do. I'm like, I don't care. I want it to be, this is the only thing I have to say in. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paying for everything here. The only thing I want is it for it to be a surprise, and that's it. Yeah. I want like the cigar, and I want to do all that stuff and go out and hand the cigars to I want to pass out and so we had 2 names. We had one that was going to be Genesis if it was a girl, which I was really excited about.
It's a sweet name.
It's a wonderful name.
Yeah.
Genesis, and then we had Desi, and I was going to name him Desi as short for Desiderio, which is meaning longing of desire, South American derived name. Like Desi Arnaz, but his name was short for Desiderio.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I Love Lucy is officially my favorite TV show of all time.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I love Lucy. My grandparents used to watch it all the time when I was a kid. And he sang and played bongos and guitar. He was a very vibrant character.
Yeah, for sure.
And that name really stuck with me. And so I wanted to name him Desi, and then his mom was like, no. And I was like, well, it's got to be music related or something. What about Diodario?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't name my kid after some guitar strings, right, dude.
Although I do play those guitar strings.
They're good. They're good strings. So I decided Desi Dario. Because Dario Argento.
Yeah.
Because she liked Dario. She was like, all right, well, she's like, oh, well, I like Dario's cool.
Okay.
Dario's cool because he's a great, Dario Argento and Ozzy Argento. Yes. I'm like, all right, so we got Desi Dario Mendez. That's it, done. Desiderio. I snuck it in there. Okay. But I kind of chopped it in half.
Oh, I like that.
And if he didn't like it, if he doesn't like Desi, then he could just be called Dario. If he doesn't like Dario, then he could just be called DD.
There you
or
go.
Something like that.
Or DND.
Double dose. Mendez, bro.
I like that. He's got it all laid out for him. He's gonna be fun.
Man, and that's cool when I hear about people that have lots of children. You have a gang of children, dude.
I got a crew.
That's a gang of children. And when I had my child, I was 39. And I felt when he was born, I remember feeling like this is what I was afraid of. Like this whole time, this, I was afraid of this. And in that moment, I just remembered, like, lots of things come in your mind. You're like, okay, well, I need a steady job and all this and that. And then, and I need to, me and his mom weren't really getting along at that time. So my main thing was like, let's strengthen this family unit. She needs me, I need her. We have a child. Totally didn't really work out, but I ended up with my son, and he's getting older now. I want another one. I really do.
You can have them on your own too. It's not just women.
What?
I don't know how that plays out for you, but but I know it's true.
Could adopt one?
Yeah. Or find a surrogate.
Oh yeah.
That's probably cost some money.
Yeah. I know, but here's the thing though. Like when I hear about people like you who are married and with children, like I want that.
You want the whole package.
I never really had an awesome family. I think when I say like the closest thing to a responsible parent I had was my stepdad. And that's saying a lot because he's such a cool dude. And, my dad is sort of absent in my life emotionally and spiritually. And my mom has sort of always been absent in my life, period. Other than telling me when I was fucking up, including with music and everything. Which I guess kind of like comes down to, the fucked up person I've been as far as being an alcoholic and drinking a lot and doing all these things to hide. But yeah, when I see people with awesome families or coming from awesome families, I always think to myself, like, well, I don't feel down on myself. I feel like, oh, it's possible. People are happy, and that's good.
Yeah.
Marriage is cool. Kids are cool. Family's awesome. And I could get that. And, I just got to make the right steps to get there. It doesn't really seem like something that's out of the realm of possibilities. Before, it was something I was afraid of. I understand why I was afraid of it. Children were something I was afraid of. I understand why I was afraid of it. Children are like, you know what it is? Children is like going to Six Flags every summer, your entire life, and seeing the scary ride that you're afraid to death to get on, and then the moment you get on that ride after like the millionth time you've been to Six Flags, and then you get on that ride, and then once it's over, the first thing you want to do is go again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're like, awesome, this is awesome. That was afraid of, dude. Children are cool.
Yeah.
I hate meeting people that are just like, oh, I'm childless. I'm like, no, you're not. You're child free.
Child free.
I'm like, no, you're not. You're childless, kid. Like, Jesus Christ. This one friend of mine, his girlfriend, she was just like, oh, I hate kids. Kids are gross. Ugh. And I was like, ugh, Jesus Christ. But I was the king of never having kids.
Yeah.
Dude, I was the king of, I'm never having kids, bro. I'm playing Modern Warfare 24 hours a day. I'm working at the bar. I'm doing drugs. Fuck all y'all.
Yeah.
Now I have a kid, and I don't even know who that dude was.
Right? I feel you. It's like something sort of innate inside of you, I think, that is like, I think we all have these different parts inside of ourselves that sort of are there dormant until they're needed or called into action. And I think like parenting, like fathering or mothering a child, like it's kind of like that. And then like once the kid is there, like it's just like these parts of you just like come alive. They're like, oh, of course, like I got this, like I know what to do.
Like you're on some next level shit, dude. Like you're like laying in bed watching TV or whatever, and all your kids are just laying in bed with you. That's gotta be awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's gotta be awesome.
And to be fair to the child-free people, kids are gross. Like
they're gnarly.
Like, human beings are gross. Like there's a lot of gross shit that goes on with us. And kids just don't know how to take care of it themselves.
Right.
So that makes them seem grosser. But
no, I get it too. There's like when I used to babysit other people's kids, I didn't want to change their diaper, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, ew, what?
Yeah.
And if there were like a girl, I wasn't used to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I can't change that girl diaper. How do I do that?
Yeah.
But you got it because they're babies.
Sure.
A little bit of awkwardness there. I'm sure if it was my daughter, it'd be a little different, but it was a little awkward for me. I only ever did that one time, by the way, and I don't even think I completed the task. My mom was there to help me. But yeah, it's something about when it's your kid, I guess, But I do want to have more children, and then also if somebody knows that that they don't want, if they know in their heart of hearts that they're not, that they don't want, not even like any fear, like they're not going to be a good parent or they're going to be a great parent, but they just can't or whatever. It's good. It's responsible to know that if parenting's not for you, then that's cool.
Totally.
That's totally cool. If you have enough sense to know that much, that's much more better. That's a better position to be in than to think that you can when you really can't.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because then a kid might end up fucked
And
up.
I think, there are certainly a lot of reasons in this day and age, especially for, it to be probably a good thing for some people to choose not to have children, like, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's some environmental issues brewing around the globe. And where are all the resources going to come from for all the people? Like, I think about that as someone with 4 kids. I'm like, how did we end up with 4 kids? And is that irresponsible of us? Like, and, there are probably people, maybe some child-free people even, who think it definitely is.
It's irresponsible or something like that.
Absolutely,
I've definitely had that conversation with a couple of people. And I guess that my answer to that would be, well, you would have to, well, first of all, the more people that you create, the more people that you can make conscious of it.
Yeah.
Conscious of it. There's a lot of ignorant people that just don't think that things like global warming are real. And, the pollution and all that shit's in your face, man.
Yeah.
It's in your face. We all know it, and to deny it is stupid and it's kind of ignorant. So I tell people this. As a matter of fact, today I just saw something online about child rate births going down. And you know who's having the most kids? Are just conservative folks.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, conservative folks are having plenty of kids. So if we want a world where we could look into, say, 30 years from now, doesn't it make sense to have children to be conscious and still maintain the fight?
Yeah.
Or at least create. You can't change the old dude in the White House.
Right.
Any of those people. You can't really change their mind. They're old already. Even people our age, it's hard to get them to change their viewpoint or even look at themselves, much less get on board with your ideas. So what makes sense to me is to create, how you change the world is to create better people. And I look at my son as my contribution to the world. And you have children too, which you're not going to raise to be some dum-dums. You're going to let them know to recycle. You're going to let them know how to treat people.
Yeah.
It's my chance. It's my chance to create an awesome human being that's going to be able to maybe make a difference. I mean, contribute for sure.
Yeah.
But not going to be to the detriment of human civilization or just society in general, So you have 4.
Yeah.
Those are 4 new awesome adults we're looking at 30 years, 40 years from now that might one day just go create and do some cool shit.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about human beings is that I think the possibilities are so untested. Like, I think anything is possible, really, for, I mean, not just like you say, like, oh, maybe one of my kids will be president someday. Like this, you can look at things like that. But, I mean, I hope my kids would be smarter than to take that job. But but you think about like just what, I don't know, like you can study and be inspired by so many amazing people in the world. And those people all started as, children. Like they had to be born. So it's an opportunity to, hopefully add something to the world.
I wouldn't doubt that at all. I wouldn't doubt that at all for a second, because it's our. I mean, you strike me as a responsible type of parent, and our responsibility as parents is to make sure children are smarter than us, and that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's not like Chris Simpson's just gonna up and go get a pack of cigarettes and never come back. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that's not gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
You know, and children have their father.
Yeah.
So no, there's as long as you're there, you're leading by example. You started to from the very beginning. The
Yeah.
first time they noticed you. So, you know, I think you did good, and I don't see that as anything. In my perspective, I don't see having children as being bad. But if you were like some person that just doesn't give a crap about nothing, who's kind of racist or something, you might be raising some little devils.
Yeah, for sure.
But I kind of you know, it's really easy to focus on that one negative thing when there's lots of cool people like you and I. And all of our friends, we have a lot of mutual friends. You and I
Yeah.
are like you and I know each other in passing through a couple of conversations, but collectively through all of our friends, I don't know any idiots.
Right.
And if there's any idiots, they kind of like weed themselves out. Nobody
They
wants to
do.
hang out with them.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's a
I mean,
couple
I
of them
think-
hanging around still, but
Yeah.
arm's length.
Some lurkers.
Yeah, you keep them arm's length, man. Never let them borrow your guitar.
Yes.
Anyways, speaking of music, so what happened with Gloria record?
Oh, that's a good one.
I loved Gloria record, dude.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Lowland Traffic, I have it right there.
Okay.
It's buried.
What's cool is that we're just in the process of signing a licensing agreement for someone to re-release that specific EP.
Really?
So,
That was
yeah.
a 10-inch record that I have on what vinyl?
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. I liked that band too.
All the members here? All the members still here?
No. Well, no. The drummer Brian was in New York for like a decade or so, like after the Gloria record, and now he lives in North Carolina, which is where he was before he moved here to join the Gloria record. And the keyboard player Ben is in New York. And has been there for a while now. So I guess me, the guitar player Brian, and Jeremy are all still in the Austin area. But what happened with that band is ultimately I think we just kind of got out of sync. Like we stopped kind of being having like a shared vision for what we wanted to do musically, and because we had always kind of written collaboratively, and for me that was getting more and more difficult as time went on, and I was feeling pulled to like writing somewhat more autonomously, like just kind of coming in with songs. And not to say that never happened in the Gloria record, but often it was us kind of working out bits of music, and we'd sort of shape these arrangements of music until they felt like a song, and they were like arranged to kind of feel like a song. And then it was always like the very last thing that I would have to like come up with vocals and a melody and put those onto the music. And it kind of worked that way to a large degree in Mineral too. So it was like it wasn't a new way of working for me, but I think I just sort of ran up against a wall of like not being able to do that anymore. And I was feeling less involved in the music we were creating. Like I was feeling less interested in playing the guitar, and like there was certainly plenty of sound in that band where I didn't have to play guitar, at any given time. But as we wrote a whole second record full of music and went to start recording another record, I kind of realized like I don't know how, like I couldn't find a way to like connect with the music we were making, to like put myself into it. And so we just kind of ran into a wall where we're like, all right, we have all this music, and like I don't really have any like vocals or lyrical ideas. And I don't think it was just me. The other guitar player was really struggling to come up with parts too. So what we have is like an unfinished record of really interesting, super interesting, like bass, drums, and like lots of layers of keyboards and pianos and stuff. Yeah. And it's really interesting stuff. But that I think it would be really fun to still try and finish some of at some point. And we've talked about it over the years, but basically we got to a point where I was like, I hit a wall and I was like, I need to take a break from it. And what if we just take a year off and come back together and see what's up? And I think, understandably, there were some people involved who were like, there was the drummer, Brian, never really loved living in Austin. And I think he was kind of eager to move on somewhere else. And it just seemed like if it wasn't going to happen then, let's just call it what it is, like the band's ending, know. So that's what happened with that.
It's really hard for me to write lyrics to songs that other people have written. Like,
it's very hard.
It's really hard to do it. I don't know what it is. Like, I've had to do that twice, and one of the times I think I just said I can't do this, and the drummer's like, "Well, I'll do it," and he was able to do it, and I don't sing on that song. And that's a song I always forget how to play. Because
it's hard.
And it's really hard to be in a band when there's other writers. Usually I'm in the band, people get behind my ideas. And if you want to contribute to that, then cool, but this is the direction it's going. Don't come in here with the 4/4 pop progression thing when we're doing some really heavy emo indie stuff over here.
Yeah.
It's clashes, and then you need the right drummer. I got my band. I'm very fortunate to have been in bands where all the drummers are just sick, like
nice,
ridiculously good. I've always been blessed that way.
Yeah,
thank God.
I think it's almost impossible to have a good band without a good drummer. I say almost because maybe there are exceptions. I loved, and we loved in Mineral in the early days this band Buffalo Tom from Boston.
Hey.
And they did not have a good drummer. But occasionally in the studio, like you could smooth it out and mix it okay. But yeah, it's rare to find a band that you can say, oh, that's a good band, and yet they don't have a good drummer. So I feel like good drummers are crucial.
Creative drummers that know what they're doing. Like, I was in the band with this one guy one time. Oh my God, dude. Like, I was auditioning a drummer, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I've been playing for 12 years." And I was like, "Well, that sounds cool. Do you got your chops down?" He says, "Yeah, I'm coming all the way down from Dallas. I love your band." And I was like, "Okay, this is like some old rock band." He shows up, and the first thing he pulls out of his case is like this big ass like rack tom system with the cage, and immediately I was like, no,
this is not gonna work.
This is totally not gonna work. But dude came all the way down from Dallas. We just can't just say gig's over. So as soon as he started playing, it was like I played better than that. And I looked at him and I was like, I thought you said you played 12 years. And he goes, well, yeah, I've been playing music for 12 years. I've been playing drums for 6 months.
Oh.
And I'm like, you came all the way down to Dallas. I'm like, that's it. I gave him gas money. I felt bad. Yeah. I gave him like $40, and I paid for the room. 16 minutes later, he was out. Dude. I was like,
that's a lot of gear to set up for 16 minutes.
Dude, it took him like 30 minutes just to get it together.
That's the worst.
But anyways, yeah, no, it's going back to what you're saying. I kind of feel like if there's a lot of writers in the band, either there has to be a common goal that y'all are trying to get to, like a plateau, not a plateau, but a sound that you're always striving for. And if you could, kind of write off each other on that, but most of the time, it's really hard for me to write with other people.
It's tough, yeah. And I think if you look at the history of bands, there's definitely some examples of great bands that have multiple writers, but I think it's always like, I imagine at least, it's always like this person's song, so they sing it. This person's song, so they sing on it. And outside of that, like, yeah, they're making things that are similar enough, like the style or vibe of the songs, that it can all sound like one band with just like different people singing, I think that, clearly that can happen.
I think Journey was like that. Journey had a bunch of writers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Journey had a bunch of writers, and every once in a while, Rush, I think, is like that too.
Yeah.
Kurt writes a lot of stuff himself. Iron Maiden, Steve Harris writes a lot. Steve Harris and Adrian Smith did a lot of the writing for the first couple albums. I think the first 2 albums were all Steve Harris. Did you ever get into metal at all?
What's funny is I not only did I get into it, well, I wouldn't say I got into it, but I played in and sang in a Christian death metal band called Mortal Enemy, with two just ripping lead guitar players who traded off solos in every song.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. And people would be very surprised to hear it. I don't know how you would hear it, but it does exist.
Maybe through prayer.
Maybe through prayer. Yeah.
Dude, I remember growing up as I grew up Christian.
Oh yeah.
I grew up Christian, but I kind of feel the way Christianity was introduced to me was sort of like used as like a club to kind of like beat me into submission. My mom was militant Christian type. I wasn't allowed to listen to any metal, but I did on the down low.
Sure.
I used to hide my metal shirts in like near these garbage cans near on my block. So I used to put them on before going to school, and then I would hide them there on the way home. And my mom she just never got it. My uncles too. They're like hardcore Christian folks. So I grew up in that environment, but I grew up with a really bad feeling of Christianity. I was really there was nobody worse. There was no other anti-Christian person higher than me. I was all about it. You see this Jesus tattoo? I got like this black metal Jesus. Like
Nice.
I was gonna get an upside down cross right here. I was just like really. But you know what? At some point, you meet really good Christian people, and I know that a lot of people, like a lot of my friends, they kind of like laugh at it or poke fun at it, at Christianity or even just, religion in general. I'm not on board with any kind of organized religion, and I could look back at those days of Christianity and be like, okay, well, this is what I took from that, because not all of it was wasted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I realize that every person praying for me, like my mom or my cousins, they're still all very religious. Whether they're right or wrong, their intentions are good.
Yeah.
They have good intentions. And so when my mom says, she's going to pray for me, I'm like, whatever you want to do, if that's the energy you want to put out into the world and send that to me, I need all the help I can get. That's cool. Good. When people say, hey, I'm sending you good vibes, you're praying for them. You're thinking about them. You're wishing well on them. So I never laugh at people who say thoughts and prayers. I believe in the power of prayer, and I believe in the power of energy, and I believe, I kind of feel like religion has hijacked our spirituality, and God's there regardless of what religion you are. And if your intentions are there in the right spots, then give me all the love, then give me all the support spiritually, emotionally that I need, because I need it, and that's what I surround myself with good people. Yeah, and I don't have anything against Christians. I used to.
Yeah.
I've even spray painted on churches. I used to yell at the people at the Planned Parenthood, fuck you, it's just like. And then at one point I was like, let me take a closer look at this. And is this because I was bullied by my mom when I was a kid, or am I misunderstanding? And I knew a lot of good Christians, and even I met more Christians when I moved here to Austin. And in the scene, I was like really into, and a lot of people, our friends, people that we know, like, well, what's wrong with God, dude? And I'm like, what are you talking about, God? So yeah, and now that I'm in AA, the idea of a higher power is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from where I'm already am.
Yeah.
And I need that, and I appreciate the fact that there's some things out of my control, and I don't mind handing myself over to a higher power to help me get past alcohol, so I could become a better person. It's an improvement whether you look, no matter which way you cut it or slice it. And it's God how you view that.
The God of your own understanding, they say.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, God of your own understanding.
Yeah, and that can look different for anyone. I'm with you, and I think I definitely grew up Christian, and even in my early to mid-teens, like got super gung-ho into it myself. Like I got really into it. I started playing in, as I mentioned, at Christian bands. I had a lot of friends who were like super into it, so I was like this is an opportunity to play music with a bunch of people, is what it felt like for me. And I got really into it. I got really passionate about it, and was like even out there like evangelizing, and like me and my friends were like went to downtown Denver, and we're like, we're gonna go evangelize to the homeless, you know. And I don't know what we did, but I I feel like I learned the value of talking to people and listening to people, and just kind of being with people who were less fortunate than myself. So I feel like I got a lot of good things out of it, and ultimately I think prayer works, like you were saying, and I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with like there being a God or not, you know, like
Right.
I think human beings are like our capacities and powers and energies are you know, like I said earlier, like untested largely. Like we have no idea what we're capable of. Some people do more than others, but yeah. So I'm with you. Like I do find myself when I go to AA meetings, like when I get asked to read like some of the preambles, like I know some people when they're reading through those, like will sub out the like him, the male pronouns that are used for God in the preambles for like neutral pronouns. And I'm always tempted and always have this fantasy of myself when I get in that position, like not just making him neutral, but making him feminine.
Right.
Like, and because I really, truly believe that, that God is, my concept of God, my understanding of God is that it's a much more feminine thing. It's like some great mother, you know, that,
Mother Earth.
yeah, like, there's a great story about one of the first astronauts who went out into space and came back, and at the time, like people were really interested in like the idea of like, are you gonna meet God if you go far enough into space, you know? And so when he came back, they were asking him like, so did you see God? Do you feel like you met God out there? And he said, yes. And what can you tell us about God? She is black.
Yeah.
So there's this idea that like
I've heard that before.
yeah, it's a
I've heard that before.
on tapes and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's a I think a common story that gets told by like different spiritual teachers and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that like we in our culture, we're in such a patriarchal culture that's so like male dominated, and our idea of God being this masculine figure, down to the ridiculous idea of him like the caricature of like the old man with the big white beard, you know, like is not only male but it's white, you know, and I prefer to think of whatever spirit spawned whatever is out there as being largely like this astronaut. If you go into space, what you're going to find is a whole lot of black and a whole lot of like sort of emptiness, openness, you know, which to me feels very like feminine, or like a womb or something, you know.
Yeah, women are the ones that create.
I don't
Women
know
are
any men without children.
women's are the one that they can make a human. They can
And I
make
think-
a human. That's
I think
insane.
that's
to me.
part of the reason I feel like so connected to this idea of like
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That does make sense to me. I mean, I really haven't really thought of it so much that way, and I do know that there's a lot of, you know, a lot of people have their own ideas about femininity and feminism and stuff. I don't consider myself a feminist. I do support feminism, though. Growing up, punk rock, there was a group of girls, and they used to wear black and wear leather, and they had big makeup on, and they were called Riot Girls, and they were dangerous.
yeah.
They were dangerous, dude. And we were friends with them, and we'd go to all their gigs, and we, you know, or their books. They had like knitting classes. I had all kinds of stuff exclusively for women, no boys allowed.
Right.
And all the punks, all the male punks were just like, well, totally on board with that. We were just on board with that. Whatever y'all need, cool. We get it. Oh, this is your meeting. Perfect. We'll be over here. Let us know when it's cool. And so I've always viewed feminism exclusively for females. So I can't really say that I would be a feminist because I'm not a woman. And I don't know that walk. I know it's a scary walk. I understand why they fear men, but me as a man, I gotta fight them. Like they're the ones that are gonna come for me, and they'll come for them too. Like when I'm walking home at night, I'm not looking out for women. I'm looking out for men.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Toxic masculinity is a thing.
Yeah.
I do believe in positive masculinity, though.
Absolutely.
Protect your family. Watch out for your friends. Don't let nobody come up and start just taking stuff from your family or anybody like that. I'm fairly protective.
Yeah.
But for me to like, I'm a guy now. I'm gonna take what you've always had, and no. I feel like this is yours. I respect that. I'll be here and support you in every step of the way. And that's how I feel about it. I'm not a feminist, but I support feminist movement, and I think it's good. Yeah. And people need to respect that. And anybody that thinks they're better than a female, that's stupid.
Yeah. You know
what I mean? I don't know anybody like that, dude.
I don't either. I
don't know anybody like that. I don't know.
I mean, I probably do. But
I might know some dudes that joke about it.
Yeah.
Especially like guy talk in the band rehearsal space, but nobody ever leaves, not the band rehearsal space, but just like when you're out at the bar or something. But none of us ever like leave and just be like, totally, that's how we feel and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know. I would say maybe females do know this. I don't know. I don't want to discount the experience, but there's been many times where I'm like at a bar and like some random Chad will just come up to me and say things like, "Oh, you see that girl over there?" And I'll look, and he'll be like, "Dude, I'm totally gonna listen."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "Dude, you're gross." And then I feel like, "Ew, you're talking to me that way?
Yeah.
You think I'm like you?
Yeah.
That's gross." So there's been plenty of times I'm just like, that's kind of weird, dude. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like what's wrong with you, man? Are you gay or something? I'm like, no, man. I just think that's kind of gross. You just come up to a stranger and saying all this vulgar stuff about a woman.
Yeah.
Just kind of gross. And so I feel like on Facebook is very entertaining to me. It's very entertaining. I see a lot of my friends and they'll go on and they'll post things. And I'm like, well, who do you think you're talking to? Because nobody's really like that. None of your friends, and only your friends can see this.
Right.
So you're sort of just like yelling at a wall, like straight up. Like, but it's cool to know it and reverberate it. And it's fun, like we get it, but there's only so much of that you can do. Like the whole Trump, everybody hates Trump. Okay, I don't know anybody that likes Trump. I don't like Trump. I didn't vote for Trump. We all hate Trump. But like, it's like being at a pizza party for like 3.5 years, dude, eating pizza every day. All right, cool. I get it. I'm done with the pizza now. You're still eating that pizza. I understand it's part of your daily diet to be angry about it. That's cool. Don't drag me into it. Yeah. I don't want to talk about politics. I definitely have my own views about things. But, I feel like it's rather adolescent to just sort of spout that stuff to your other friends on social media, and then if somebody asks you a question and they end up getting in a fight, and so whenever anybody posts anything political, I always just shut them down quick. I'm like, hey, this is not what this string's about. Yeah. Like I was on Thanksgiving Day, I was driving down the road, and this cop pulls up next to me, and he's just like, roll your window down. So I rolled my window down, and I'm thinking, what did I do, right? And I had this NWA cap on, and he looks at me and he goes, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but I really love your hat, man. And I was like, oh, NWA? He goes, yeah, one of my favorite bands ever. They started the whole gangster, they start talking about it. At the stoplight, our windows are down. And I was like, well, thanks. And he goes, all right, you have a nice day. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And don't tell anybody about this. And so he takes off. And then, of course, I go online and I post about it. I have to post about it. And everybody loves it. It's funny, and it's a real story. And of course, a couple of people were like, "Well, here's the thing about pigs, bro." And I'm like, I'm like, okay, well, cool, I guess. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. And then I told somebody about the story, and today he's just, oh, that's awesome. Isn't it weird, like when you're talking to the police, and then you could just see in their eyes how they like, want to bash your brains in, but they can't because they're trying to trick you into thinking they're nice. And I was like, what? That really
Yeah.
happened. That's a story that happened today. And if you listen to this dude and you see this, I think that was kind of not true. I don't think he's really like that. He's a cool dude. Dude, I ran into him again this morning.
The same
The
police
cop,
officer.
yeah, but
Okay.
at the 7-Eleven. And he just says, I have my hat on because
Uh-huh.
my hats have been having a crappy hair year. And he comes up to me. He's just like, hey, nice hat. And I was like, oh. And he's got his 3 other cop friends with him. And he's got this big box of donuts. I'm like, what's up with you, man? And he goes, dude, just keeping the stereotype alive. Dude, everybody in line and everybody behind the counter and the police, like we were all like, there must have been about 6 or 7 people there. We just all like started cracking up at the joke. He's like, yeah, that's what it is, man. Have you been? Then he goes, have you been to the new donut shop? There's one on Pleasant Valley in Riverside. Then him and I started chit chatting, and I told him about the post, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well tell him I said hi." And then it turns out he was in Iraq. He's had some friends that died over there. He came back to the States, and he just felt the need to continue to serve society and help out in every way he can. And he said, "It's like going." He's like, "I'm like, but it's got to be a tough job, and I understand it's a tough job, and I appreciate you, and I know that you don't hear that enough." And he says, "Dude, it's like going." He's like, "Dude, it's like going to the office every day." And the moment you step into the office, everybody's just saying, fuck you. And that's what it is. Every day I put this uniform on, and it's like the whole world's saying, fuck you to me. And it takes a specific type of person to just get out there and protect these people that are telling you, fuck you. Yeah. To me, that's what he said to me. And then that was that just made sense. Because you ever go to, I've had crappy jobs where I go there and everybody just hates me. It's gotta suck. Yeah. And I was like, well, that makes sense. The moment you're in that cop car, you're just looking out for, you're just looking out for people that want to hurt you, or that's a dangerous job. They don't get paid a lot.
For sure.
So it was nice because, and I know a lot of people, the people that were on my feed talking about it, they wouldn't agree, but, we're all humans.
Right.
There's good doctors, there's bad doctors, there's good brain surgeons, and there's terrible brain surgeons. There's good friends and bad friends. Mm-hmm. You ever had somebody you thought was a friend and then they stole your camera or something? Sometimes it happens. Yeah. But that doesn't mean all your friends or all the world. I got beat up by a black dude one time really badly. Does that mean all black people are bad? No. Yeah. Did I have it coming to me? I think so. You know what I mean? But yeah. That doesn't mean it's just like the same with the cops and anybody else,
Yeah. I mean, I think anytime you get into a mindset of I guess stereotyping is weird, but reducing someone to a part of their identity.
I agree. I agree with you.
You said it, these are human beings. Mm-hmm. Every single police officer is a human being, and there's some bad human beings and there's some good human beings, and but being a police officer doesn't make you a bad human being. Right. Yeah. There's people that make mistakes, and you know what, man? People, and this is another thing that I feel like society or the world's lacking these days is just forgiveness. Mm-hmm. People need forgiveness. My mother's been begging for my forgiveness for the past 25 years. And I've forgiven her, and she needed that. Yeah. If somebody does something wrong, or if they step out of line and if they come forward, they deserve to be forgiven. Forgiveness is important. Forgiveness and empathy. Whoops. Mm-hmm. Forgiveness, empathy are important because people don't get marginalized when you forgive them. They get a second chance. Mm-hmm. And people deserve second chances. People make mistakes. Pencils have erasers for a reason. Mm-hmm. We might make a mistake. We can go ahead and fix that and let's move on. It's when the mistakes keep happening. Those are the people we got to look out for. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And but that's another thing coming. These a lot of these religious values have really just
it's not bad to want to forgive people. It's not bad to want to pray for somebody. It's not bad. Those aren't bad things.
Yeah.
They can't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, so how long have you been in recovery for?
It was 3 years, September 22nd.
Coming up. Oh,
Yeah, or
we
it
just
just was
passed it.
3 years, yeah.
Awesome. Did you have any moments where you thought you were just gonna fall off?
I really haven't.
Good.
I've had
Oh, before we start talking,
Yeah.
we were talking about the steps.
the steps, yes.
Okay.
So I did, I've gone to meetings a lot early on, to AA meetings, and just found them super helpful, like to just be with people who like have the same struggles and like understand the difficulties you faced in this area is super important, and to be able to see, like, even from your first few days there, like these people who have like years and years of sobriety, and just like hear them talk about like how much better their lives are now, like that is, it's so helpful. What I was saying earlier is that I feel a little bad ever saying it, but like I haven't actually like done the steps or like gotten in there, it just hasn't felt. I've started them a few times, and I've just kind of petered out, and like it just for whatever reason doesn't feel vital to my recovery. But I say that knowing that it may absolutely be vital to many people's recovery, and knowing that there's probably some people out there who are like fervent 12-steppers who are like, you're mistaken, son. Like it's gonna bite you in the butt. Like, who think I'm gonna like, I don't know.
But what you were saying though a second ago, it's like, even though I'm only in 22 days now, I can see just how I'm feeling, and seeing other people's. I go to AA every day.
Yeah,
I go every day, and just to hear all the people's experiences and talks. It's one thing I've noticed in the last couple of weeks is that everybody's journey to recovery is different.
Oh yeah.
It's and how you're saying that maybe the steps you didn't need to do each step verbatim, or maybe you're taking your time with them or whatever. I intend to do all the steps. I don't know how crucial it is for me to do them, because I'm sort of like where you are. I kind of feel like I could just do this without it, but why take a chance? I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And plus, there are some people that I do want to apologize, and I owe apologies to. There's nothing worse than having resentment for somebody and just holding on to it, because it's like real estate in your head.
Yeah.
And, it costs, dude. It costs. It's at a cost when you're holding on to resentment. And I'm thinking about somebody specifically, a friend of mine who we're no longer friends, but the way we became enemies was really dirty on his part. But I don't like the idea of me just holding on to it. And then, hey man, maybe I need to apologize. Maybe I did something wrong.
Yeah.
And if I didn't, then whatever. I did what I could. If I could fix it, I'd like to. But the idea of holding on to resentment. Yeah, so I can't wait to get to that step.
Yeah.
And then, other things, other people I need to make amends to,
Yeah.
for sure. I'm no angel, man.
I feel that too. And, it's funny, like hearing you say that, I'm like, it reminded me that's what I used to always say, like early on, is just like, I think I'm doing the steps. I'm just taking them super slow, like, cause I too, like, feel like there's value in them. Like every one of them, like, they're not random or like, haphazard. They're actually like, very useful ways to sort of look at yourself and look at the world differently. And
the tools are invaluable.
Yeah.
The methods are awesome. Anybody thinking about going to AA, it's totally worth it just to go and experience it a few times at least.
Yeah.
But no, but continue what you were saying now.
No, I mean, I feel like people always said to me early on at AA, like, uh, that nobody ends up in these rooms by mistake, you know? And I think that's true. So like when you,
I
so
love
like
it. I love how you said that.
when
I feel
you,
that same way.
when you go there just to like, a lot of people tell themselves, I'm just going to have a look, you know, just check it out.
Yeah.
But whatever brought you there, like, you need something there, you know, and there's something there for you, you know. So I don't think I don't think people end up there by mistake. I think it's a, it's a real powerful resource for people who struggle with addiction issues, you know, like to be able to not feel alone, to feel like, wow, I can go and I can be in any city in the world. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And like look up like, oh, is there an AA meeting around here? And there is, you know, you go find one and you can go in there. And it's probably different from place to place, but I haven't been to any in other countries, but I've been to them in other cities around the U.S. And like, it's so cool to be able to go like just duck into some meeting somewhere and like know what you're gonna find.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be essentially kind of the same, you know, like the structure of it is the same, and like the issues that people are dealing with and the things they're talking about are gonna be the same because we're all human beings, and like, you know, we're sort of built to connect and empathize, you know?
You know, yeah, you said it. You know, we are built to connect and empathize if we allow ourselves to connect. And it's hard to connect sometimes. And what I found in AA was an instant camaraderie, an instant shared experience, an instant, like, relief. Like, I felt the first week I was there, man, I just felt like I was at the end of a bad movie, a really long bad movie that could have been better, but it just wasn't. It was meh. So anything before my sobriety, whatever comes after it, it's got to be better than the first chapter, because there was opportunities that I threw away and that I missed and I screwed up because I was drunk or drinking. That includes relationships, marriages, possibly. That includes major opportunities that my band had that I just screwed up because I was drunk or drinking, or I wasn't on point because of drinking. You know, like I worked for Slayer for like a week, and this was in a recording environment here in Austin. And you know, Frenchie Smith.
Yeah.
Frenchie called me up. He's like, "Hey, you want to work for Slayer?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do that."
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it. I could do that, I think. So, anyways, a couple of days leading up to it, I was like, "All right, what does Slayer need? What do they want?" So I went online, and it turns out they had a vodka endorsement. They had Jägermeister endorsement. I read that Kerry King likes certain kind of beer. So I showed up to the gig with all this booze, and they didn't touch it. So the first, after 3 days, I was with the engineer, the producer, Greg Gordon. It's like this mega producer. He does like System of a Down and, you know, just all those he's done LL Cool J. Like, he's Motown dude. He's done everybody, right?
Okay.
And I remember after the third, or it was on the third day, I was like, "Hey, why aren't the dudes touching the alcohol?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Oh, man, all those pictures you see of them, like, that's all just part of the gimmick. That's a show. They're not drinking. I don't even think they drink." And I was like, "What?
That's so good.
Are you serious?" He's like, "No, I don't think I drink." He's like, I think Greg Gordon, he's in recovery. I think he told me he had something like, I probably shouldn't have said that. Maybe I'll bleep it out. I know it's supposed to be anonymous. I don't think he'd mind. Sorry, Greg. You're never going to see this anyways. Watch those guys find it. Anyways, no, he had told me, he's like, "No, I'm like, I got like 35 years or something like that. 30 years. Oh, it was a long time. I think he said he got sober in the 80s.
Wow.
early 80s or something. And so then him and I started talking about AA, and nobody had ever talked to me about AA. I had no
Okay.
idea what it was like, and he described his experience, and I was drinking. I was hungover every day at the gig, and then after the gig was over, I had found out that they had lost their guitar tech, and they were shopping guitar techs. So, had I been on point, wasn't hungover, doing my job, or maybe just a little bit more sharp, maybe I could have gotten that gig.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I kind
Yeah.
of feel like I've messed that up.
Yeah.
Relationships, all this stuff just comes rushing back. Like all these mistakes, things I could have done better. So whatever's after my sobriety, then it's got to be better than before, man. And I say that as a person that's been telling myself for the last 9 years, I'm cutting back.
Mm-hmm.
You ever say that to yourself? I'm cutting back.
For sure. So my thing was, like, I never felt like I had a problem with alcohol, but I definitely got to where I had problems with drugs. Like, and in retrospect, I'm like, alcohol was there the whole time. It was like the glue that was holding everything else together. It was like, and over the years, like, I struggled with like cocaine for a while. I struggled with opioids, but the main thing was like I just couldn't not smoke weed all the time. Like I couldn't function if I wasn't smoking weed. And so when I started having kids, I was like, it was just a tough time. It's like I don't know how to bring these. I don't know how to do this. Like I don't want to be like the high dad. And I know I took the responsibility seriously. But so that just meant like I'm always looking for like when can I get high? When can I smoke?
Time alone.
Yeah, time alone. Like, do we need to groceries? Maybe I go to the grocery store, get high, go shopping. Like, and it just at some point it felt really. I felt like just really weighed down by like. I tried for so long to get away from it, and just like, how do I feel okay or function without this now? And it just never really happened. And when I would like make resolutions, I've thrown away so much weed. It's just like you get like halfway through a bag and you're just like, all right, you just pull the car over, like throw it down some sewer, like drive off. And I've even like driven back like next day, like, oh, can I reach that? Like that's where I was with it. It was a real struggle. And when I would get away from it, I would find that like, oh, all of a sudden I do have a drinking problem, So it took a long time. I like to say I circled the drain of sobriety for a long time. Like, just saw it there, and I knew like that's where I need to end up. That's what's going to have to happen for me.
That's heavy.
But I just couldn't like make the decision to get there. And finally, it was when I put the pieces together where I was like, it's all connected. Like I just can't do any of it. Like I'm just that guy. I'm like a textbook addict. Like I can't do any of it. I can't drink. I can't smoke weed. I can't, use pills. I can't do any of it.
It's like I told a friend of mine who said, when I first started going to AA, this friend of mine called me up drunk, and he had a plan for me. And he's like, all right, this is what you do, man. All right, dude, here's the problem. It's not that you got a problem. It's that you need to just, okay, drinking and driving, you can't do, like, he just give me this whole thing. So he wanted me to just only drink after I got home from work. He's like, if you just have 2 drinks, that's it. And I'm like, bro, I've been saying 2 drinks every day for like 9 years. I cannot. And here's the problem it's like, I can go like 2 or 3 days without a drink. I'm not like one of those people that wakes up and I'm shaky and there are some people like that
For sure.
But I was more like social anxiety. I can't go to this party. I need to get a good buzz on me. I need to get buzzed before I play this gig. Oh, I'm going to go on this date. I need to get a good buzz on me. Like it just became so integrated with who I am and what I became as an alcoholic that I realized I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I'd have to tell him that. And I was like, dude, I can't you don't. I can't.
Yeah.
Because it's not that I have a drinking problem. It's that when I drink, I have major problems. Because when I drink, I do all the cocaine. When I drink, I do all the pills.
Yep.
When I drink, I do smoke all the weed.
Mm-hmm.
When I drink, I eat all the ice cream.
Yep.
When I drink, I call the ex-girlfriend up. When I drink, I'm like just not hurting anybody else except maybe the ex-girlfriend that thinks I like her again because I told her loved her when I was drunk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm in my own way with my habit of drinking. So the drinking, I realize, has just been in the fucking way the whole time. And I'm tired of it. And I'm glad I got the meetings and I get to go to those rooms and be with people that get it.
Yeah.
On last Saturday, I got out of the ER. I was in the ER. I had this heart thing.
Yeah, I remember reading about this.
And I got out of the ER. I was playing a show. I was supposed to play a show with it was going to be at Seaboys with Ringo Death Star and Trail of Dead and Firebird Keys. And my heart did a little flip-floppy in Friday evening, so I ended up in the ER, and I got let out on 7 o'clock on Saturday. And earlier that week, a friend of mine had gotten hit by a car, and he became permanently disabled. He can't walk again. It's just really bad. And so that's weighing on me. And then, of course, Thanksgiving last week, and my dad kind of came over here and just bull in a china shop, man. Just came in, ate and left. That was it. Sat there for 15 minutes, went over there, started eating without us. When he was done, he just got up and left, went home. So that kind of really hurt my feelings. And then I'm worried about the friend that I got the show, and we're raising money for him. And then my heart just did a little flip, flip, flip. And I just ended up in the ER. And now I'm missing my show.
Yeah.
But the show's making money, so that's good. But then when I got out on Saturday, the first thing I thought of was like, I really, really, really want to drink right now. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, if there's any time to drink right now that you've ever deserved it in your life, is it right now.
Yeah, that's a lot to drink about.
Right now. And I remember feeling good about it. But you know what it felt like? It felt like I was on a date with you ever been on a date like a really hot girl and you know that you have no chance of getting any makeout time with her because she's just far too hot for you? But maybe. So that's kind of like how I attribute it to. It was like I'm with this beautiful habit that I've had for so long, and I'm not going to drink. But why do I keep thinking about it? Am I? Maybe. Is there a chance I could just have 2 drinks? And then at that point, I just called my sponsor, and that's what sponsors are for. And I found out, talked me off of the ledge, and I'm glad that I didn't. I'm a better person because I didn't. Right. And which brings us back to this podcast and us talking about these kind of things, because I do really want to get to a place in my life where I'm helping people. And I write music. This is something I do. I write music. It's just what I do, and I try to make cool records and stuff. But I feel that the universe and God has put me here to help people. And I want to help people. And the first person I had on here, we were supposed to talk about his depression issues. And when I was doing the edit on the first episode that were about this mental illness, depression, recovery, alcoholism, whatever kind of thing, self-help, I guess, I realized that I was drunk during the whole time. I was. And I'm editing it, and I'm realizing I'm not helping this person at all. Yeah. How can I help somebody when I can't even help myself? So I sort of scrapped that, and I'm going to have him come back, and I want it to be right because I was not right. Yeah. And that was a big sign. And like, if you really want to do this, then you got to. If you really want to help somebody, and if you really want to help people, then you got to help yourself first. So that first step of me going into that direction is me. Yeah. And one time I had gone 6 months without drinking. Do you know who Eric Sanger is?
Yeah, I know. I've met him. Yeah.
Okay. Eric Sanger is a really good friend of mine, and he was there the whole time when I wasn't drinking. And then I started drinking again, and him and I got into an argument, and he had said something to me. He goes, you know what, man? Honestly, dude, I love you, Rich, and you're my best friend, but man, I really liked you a lot better when you were sober. And that just always stuck with me because I remember that guy. I remember sober me, and I miss him too. Yeah, I do. And most of the time when I ever do these podcasts, I was always drunk. And because I'm afraid. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be afraid. I'm realizing now it's okay to be afraid.
What's not to be afraid about, right? I mean,
People see the real me.
like, I
I
just
don't know.
mean, no, yeah, like, yeah, you're afraid. I mean, like, that's such a universal, like, I think we're all
A
afraid,
lot of people
right?
are afraid, brother. A lot
Yeah,
of
we
people are afraid.
are afraid. Like, uh, regardless of what else happened in our lives, like, just being a human being and being alive, like, that's cause for some PTSD right there, like, just,
Yeah. These aren't easy times we're living in right now.
no.
It's very divided. That's kind of sort of the thing where I don't really pick a side politically these days. Before I was a very staunch, far leftist. I've thrown beers at cops. I've spray painted on churches. I've done all of it. I've fought Nazi skinheads before. We used to go looking for Nazi skins, dude. We used to be in really dangerous situations, man. I was all about it.
Hmm.
And and at one point I just got tired of being angry, and I just was realizing I was spending too much energy being angry all the time. And then I'm seeing people stop being friends with each other because of who voted for who and whatnot. I got family members that voted for Trump. I don't love
Oh,
them
I do
any. I
too,
don't love them
for
any
sure.
less. They just have different ideas, and I get it because I came from a Christian background and I came from a conservative background. I get it.
Yeah.
I understand it, and I understand it so well that a lot of people. This is a funny story. Off the subject. This friend of mine, this black guy, Muslim dude. We're hanging out at his house and we're drinking, and he just gets on the political thing, starts ranting. And then I just looked at him and I was like, you know what, man? I bet you anything that you are more conservative than you realize. And he goes, hell no, man. You think, no way. I'm not no. I'm like, dude, all right, let's just back up for a second. I said, are you religious? He goes, yeah, man, Allah. I was like, all right, that's a conservative value. And he goes, well, yeah, but that's just. I'm like, well, hold on. I'm like, do you have a gun? He goes, oh, I gotta keep a gun around here, bro. You know what I'm talking about? I'm like, what if somebody wanted to take your gun? No one's taking my shit. I'm like, all right, there you go.
Yeah.
Who are you protecting? I'm protecting my family. All right, cool. Do you want anybody come taking your money? And he goes, hell no, I'm not giving. No. I'm like, all right. Those are all conservative values that you have. Do you have fear of God? That's a conservative value. A lot of conservative things are baked into, I hear it a lot, baked into the cake of ideas of religion. I can't really take the side of any religion. What I find odd about it, and I explained to him, was how can people shun Christianity but protect Muslim? Because those are just religions.
Yeah.
And if you're against one, you don't believe in that one, then why would you protect another religion? Because religion is not a skin color. It's
Right.
an idea.
Mm-hmm.
But to assume somebody's a certain skin color to be a Muslim, that in and of itself is racist. So what does that mean? So that's why I don't really get into the whole Muslim. I don't. If people want to be Muslim, that's fine with me. I'm still spiritually related to everybody I meet.
Yeah.
And that's what if that's the name that they want to give it, that's fine. I can call mine the universe. You can call yours she.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me any different than you, and I still appreciate and respect anybody with any kind of different ideas like that. I don't think I'm better than anybody else. I came up in a really rough area of California, eating mayonnaise sandwiches, broke, government cheese, getting beat up, bullied, picked on, kicked out of 2-3 high schools for fighting, got stabbed. I'm just, I'm humbled by life. And I just like the idea that we don't have to do that anymore. I've had enough of the conflict, and a lot of it's just keep going. So a lot of, at the end of this year, I'm gonna purge my Facebook with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
negative folks that seem to be hanging on there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I love them any less. I just need all the positivity in my life I can. And yeah, man. Oh, before we go, because we're coming up here on about an hour and 15 minutes. Has Mineral written any new music?
Well, we wrote 2 new songs that came out with a book.
A book?
Yeah, there's a book out now called One Day When We Are Young, Mineral at 25.
Wow.
And it has this guy, Misha Perlman, came and hung out with us and interviewed us for like over a weekend and wrote, it was originally going to be like extensive liner notes for something, but it just grew to be like an actual book. And then he, in order to add to his story, like came up with this list of people he wanted to interview and talk to them about Mineral.
Yeah.
And as he started doing that and these interviews started coming in, he was like, I think these should be in the book, like as they are, like not just incorporated into my story.
Awesome.
So it's like got the story, first that he wrote, and then it's got all these interviews with other people, like talking about Mineral. Like there's, like peers from back in the day, like dudes from Jimmy Eat World,
Knapsack,
and I actually don't know if there's any Knapsack guys in there, but
I love Knapsack so much, dude.
There's like it's cool. It's like
Is it on Amazon or something?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
Awesome.
So and then in the back there's a 10-inch with 2 new songs on it that we wrote and released with it, like last year.
I did not know about that.
Yeah, so it came out January of this year. So almost a year ago now. So obviously we wrote it before that. So yeah, there's 2 new songs, and I mean, I don't know that there will be more than that, but it was really cool. Like the way the project grew and became a book, we were kind of uncomfortable with it. We were like, at first we were like, oh, let's do some like box set kind of thing and like repress all the 7 inches and then have these like extensive liner notes written by this guy. But then when he started bringing in the interviews and wanting to include those, it just kind of kept growing, and we sort of realized like when we were starting to like budget it out, we were like, it's going to be really expensive, like this product, and we don't really want to put like a $200 product out there that only like a few people are going to be able to like afford to buy. So we're like, maybe we'll just scale it back and it'll just be a book, it'll be like reasonably priced. But then
that's awesome.
Something in us was just like, we can't just put out a book. So we were like, let's write 2 new songs and put them in the book, So yeah, that came out last year, before we did all the touring we did this past year.
I'm really happy that you guys are doing shows again, man. I need to see you guys. That was the first time I'd ever seen you guys was at the Mohawk, and that was the only time. I hadn't seen you guys since before then. Although there was a time, and this was so I'm going to be a little fanboy here for a second because I love Mineral. All right. So the first time I heard about Mineral was it was in it was in Palo Alto, California. You and I had this discussion when my old rock band, Art of Arrows, we opened up for Gloria record.
Okay.
Back, I forgot what it was called. It wasn't Mohawk before. It was called something else. Anyways, and my band in the South Bay, we're relatively a bigger band in the South Bay specifically. We went up to Palo Alto to go see you guys. It was Mineral. I want to say it was Super Chunk.
Oh, it was Mineral and Knapsack and Crumb.
Oh, dude! I talked to Robbie.
Yeah.
Robbie from Crumb?
I just saw a flyer posted on the Knapsack Instagram recently of that show, and I'm like, I remember that.
Yeah, dude. Because, dude, I loved Crumb.
Yeah.
Josh Freeze played on that, drums on that album.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. What's it called? Romance is a Slow Dance. Yeah, it was that gig. Mm-hmm. And I remember the promoter was a friend of ours, and he came up to me and he goes, hey, is your band here? And I was like, yeah. He's like, Mineral can't make it.
Oh wow.
Like, Mineral can't play. They're not here. They're late, and I was like, he's like, can you go play? And I was like, yeah. So my whole band jumped into our van that we just happened to have with us.
Okay.
And we ran down to the space, loaded all of our gear. We came back, And as soon as we showed up, promoter comes up to us and he's like, Mineral just showed up, dude.
Oh boy.
And I was like, ah.
We ruined your day.
And I remember they're like, well, you want us? And then I remember my bass player, his name's James. He was like, dude, I'm not missing Mineral. I'm like, I'm not gonna go see Mineral, dude. No way. And I just stayed. I just went into the van and I just got super drunk in the van. And then I came out for knapsack and
Totally.
As soon as you guys were out of my sight, I was angry. And then so we ended up playing with you guys. Art of Rails played with you guys at Gloria Record Show, and I told you the same story. That's awesome. And you're like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." You like,
yeah, it's funny. Like I didn't remember it now, but now when you first said like us being late, I'm like, I mean, I feel like that happened a lot. Like, but
you said you were coming from Los Angeles. You had a gig in
LA,
Los Angeles somewhere. And you had a bit of some kind of van problem, and you told me that Gabe was driving. Was Gabe driving?
It's possible, yeah,
or something like that. I don't know, but you were very apologetic. Like, what was that? 5 or 6 years after the fact, and I just remember being like, "That's my first impression of you." And I was like, I'm like, oh man, this motherfucker remembers. And he said, sorry. Oh shit, this guy is cool. So then after that, I just went out and I just started listening to, I had already been listening to Mineral anyways, but I was just mad on that day.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. That's funny. I just wanted to share that with you or revisit it again.
Yeah.
And, man, I'm glad that you came over to do the podcast, man. I really appreciate it. And these podcasts are going to be sober from now on.
Sober pods.
That's just what I'm going to do, man. That's just how it is. And I didn't choose for me to end up in those rooms. It just had to be done. And it's what the universe wanted me. So we can bring you this man. And anyways, so you got any plans? What's going on with Mineral? And you guys got any shows coming up at all, or tours or nothing?
No, that might be it.
Any new babies coming, or
no more babies?
All right.
Shut the factory down. In Mineral, it's TBD, but there's no plans. That could be it.
Mountain Time still doing stuff.
Mountain Time has a new record that will be coming out soon, like early in the year. And I'm starting to make another one. So yeah, there's hopefully going to be a lot of Mountain Time out in the world.
Dope.
One of these days.
I'm going to listen to Mountain Time all night tonight.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll give you the new record.
I got a record here from my band. I'll give it to you. We
can
trade.
There you go.
All right. Well, we're done with the Release the Bads podcast, and just want to thank you all for listening and for watching, dealing with this and this man right here. Anyways. All right, brother.
All right.
You take care. I love you, and I'm happy to have you here, and it's been good talking to you, and we'll see y'all next time. Oh, exit music, right?
Exit music.
If I had an engineer around here just to handle this shit for me, it'd be so cool.
You can always edit that gap out, though. Yeah. It'll be like, oh, you see how the exit music just came straight on?
Oh, you know what it is? Because the engineer's supposed to do this. There we go. I made this. Oh, check it out.